you see the Pacific as you go along this highway? Can you look at all that water with all your senses? Have you ever done it? With all your senses fully alive, alert. Then, in that total sensation, with all your senses, not partially, one operating more than the other, but the whole organism, the nerves, the whole entity of a human, when you give such tremendous attention with your sensation, have you noticed there is no self at all? There is no me at all. We'll come to that presently. So, we live with sensations. Very obvious. These sensations are taken over by thought and given a shape or an image. Right? So the question is, giving shape to that sensation by thought, as an image, as a picture, as pleasure, at that second, desire is born. Now the question is, can there be a wide interval between sensation and thought creating an image of that sensation? You understand? An interval. That requires tremendous attention, and where there is attention, there is discipline. You understand? Oh, come on, sir, somebody. Are you all asleep or what? This is important because as we live in conflict perpetually, to understand conflict is to see that the fact and the conclusion of the fact, you see, the fact, and what we make of that fact. What we make of that fact is an abstraction called idea or ideal. And between the fact and the ideal there is always conflict. Right? So. And if we see where there is sensation, which is natural, which is healthy, clear, unless one is totally paralyzed, and thought giving shape to that sensation, the image to that sensation. You understand? If these two can be kept apart for a while, to keep it apart requires great attention. Right? And so that there is never a suppression of desire, but watchfulness of desire. I wonder if you understand this. Because if you suppress it, it then becomes a conflict. If you say, I transcend desire, that becomes also a means of conflict. Whereas there is great attention and watchfulness, how thought shapes sensation, then that attention, that watchfulness has its own intelligence, and there is, when It's necessary you go into the shop and buy it and get on with it, but not make conflict about it. You understand? No, if you understand some of it at least. Because it's really important to understand all this. Whether man can live without conflict on this beautiful earth. We have lived with conflict all the days of our lives, from the most ancient of times till now. It's our heritage to live with conflict. Not only externally was war and so on, but also much more inwardly. Conflict with each other, conflict in our relationship with each other, intimate and so on. Whether this conflict can ever end, so that the brain is totally free. And that's why it's important to understand the nature of desire. And the nature of this sense of immense beauty of life, of this earth. Then we also should go into the question of what is love. Love apparently has become another means of conflict. One loves one's wife, and there's conflict, there's quarrels, jealousies, antagonism, divorce, and all the pain of that relationship, and the pleasure of it too. So we should go into this question very carefully, because that may be the solution of all our problems. It may be the one thing, when we understand, whether it is in the brain or outside the brain. Understand my question? Whether love is contained in the brain as thought, anxiety, pain, depression, fear, loneliness, the whole content of our consciousness. Is love part of that consciousness? You understand? Come on, sirs. Or it's outside, totally. Outside consciousness, outside the brain. Probably you've never asked the question, you. One hopes you will not mind asking these questions. So what is love as we know it? Love brings a great deal of conflict in our life, a great deal of pleasure, a great deal of anxiety.